Hello, everybody, and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf and to another recent reads on Sunday, the video in which I discuss the books that I've recently finished or the books that I'm currently reading. I will say during the month of August, because if you follow me, you know I do the 30 books in 30 days challenge. I will probably just focus on the books that I've finished because it doesn't make sense to tell you the books that I'm currently working on, because it's mostly a book a day and then I have buddy reads. And if I want to get most of those 30 books in, at least in videos, I will have to focus on the books that I finished. I'm not going to talk about all of the books that I read, probably. I mean, there are rereads in there, books that I have talked about quite a lot. I've just reread Tolstoy and the Purple Chair by Nina Sankovic. I've talked about that book extensively in various videos, so it doesn't make sense, to repeat what I said already in my wrap-ups or recent reads. Enough of the service announcements. Let's get on with the books. One of the first books that I finished was a carryover from July. And if you watch my video about the 30 books in 30 days challenge, I have rules. And I can't just carry over an unlimited amount of books from the previous month. That doesn't make sense. So I can carry over 10%, which is 3 books, if they are buddy reads. And there are 3 buddy reads that started in August and that in July, and that I finished beginning of August. And the first one is this, Elizabeth George, Playing for the Ashes, and Inspector Lynley, a book. It's number 7. And I think I'm reading the series together with Heidi. And I think there are now 25 books out or so. So it will take us quite a while to catch up, because we are reading about, 3 books, maybe a year, or maybe 4 books. We will read the next one in December. So it will take us a while. So Inspector Lynley and his second in charge, Barbara Havers, are the main characters in this series, and I really love those 2 characters, how they are crafted, how the development of their relationship. They come from really different backgrounds. Lynley is nobility, so he is an earl or something, but he still works as a regular detective for Scotland Yard. And Barbara Havers has a working class background. She's also a bit younger and lower in rank, and they develop a really profound partnership and friendship over the course of the books. And then you have the side characters like Lady Helen, she is Lynley's love interest. You have 2 friends, St. James and his wife Deborah. They don't play a role in this particular book, but you have a fixed set of characters that will be in every book, and you really see their development. This crime, and of course there is a crime because it's a mystery series, so at the center of this is a crime, murder, of course, by arson. A famous cricket player is murdered by what is it? He's not burned, but coal monoxide, whatever you when you the fumes and you die, so in his bed. And then Havers and Lynley, of course, investigate. You have the estranged wife as a suspect. You have friends and the lover, and it was a really good mystery. I will say it is quite a chunky book, and that comes because she addresses and gives background information of quite a wide array of characters. So the book is a bit convoluted in a way, but she really engages me in the way she crafts mysteries, and I continue to really like this series. And this is one of the books that I really are on the more the top. Not every book in the series is equally good, but I really liked this one. So that is one of the books that I finished. What else? That's one of the first books actually that I finished in August. Oh yeah, the next one, I had to look at my list. The next one, I don't have a physical copy, so I will put the cover up here, and that is Nora Holt's book, Farewell Happy Fields, published in 1948. This book was a buddy read also, a carryover from July, a buddy read with Kim from Middle of the Book March, and it's an Irish author, so it's part of our Irish Lit read along. We read female Irish authors, mostly fiction, but some non-fiction thrown in. And it's also on my 1001 women authors that I have to read before I die list. So it was a double whammy. I had never heard of this author before. I had never read this author before. But she is well known enough that she was, on my list. It was good, but not whoa. It's the story of a young man in mid 20th century, Adam, and when the book opens, he is just released from a 1-year stint in what they called back then asylum. So he had depression, was committed to an asylum, and is now released. It's a very a book heavy on the religious theme, because it's set in Ireland with a really strong, religious context. And Adam decides that he will destroy his soul in order to get back at God, because God mistreated him by putting him in this asylum. And then we follow Adam in over the course of his life. It's more than a decade that we follow him. He gets married, and he destroys his soul by being a shitty asshole and treating everybody around him, especially his wife, and there's children also then involved, really shittily. I thought it was interesting. The premise was interesting. The way the author included Catholicism and the pitfalls of a really very claustrophobic, oppressive religion. I thought that was really well done. It dragged a little for me, especially because there are time jumps in between chapters, but then each chapter focuses on a certain aspect or a certain conflict, and there is lengthy dialogue. And I'm not a huge fan of that much dialogue anyway, but I also felt it's like you jump in time. All of a sudden he has been married for 5 years or something, and then you get a conflict with a friend or whatever, and then it just, you jump, and then it stops, and you have pages and pages of that dialogue. So it was, in Goodreads terms, a 3-star read for me, but I'm still really happy that I discovered this author, and I don't think it will be the last book that I've read by her. The next book was also a carryover buddy read, and that was a buddy read with Adam from Memento Mori. And as you know, if you follow my channel, we're making our way through Ursula Le Guin's work. And at the moment we are in the middle of the Earth-Sea cycle, which is a fantasy series written for a younger audience, children, young adults. And we have read the second book in the series, The Tombs of Atwa, published in 1970. I don't have a physical book either, so hence the cover. And the Earth-Sea cycle centers around a very powerful magician called Get. In the first book, The Wizard of Earthsea, we first meet him when he is a young boy, and it's a coming-of-age story of his life when he first discovers his powers and magic, things like that. The book was not my favorite. This one is also coming of age, but we have a female character, not a wizard, but a young woman who is a priestess on a part of the Earthsea world, but in a quite closed community. She presides over this Atwan, very weird kind of country, or cult, priest cult. She is selected because she is regarded to be the reborn priestess that just died. So they're looking for a female who is born on the same day that the old priestess dies, and that is then the rebirth. So this young woman, most of the book is about her. Get is introduced again, but only in the last third of the book, and then the characters come together and have to solve something, a fellowship of some sort. But I felt this one was really interesting, with the theme of power, and that Tenor, the young woman who becomes this priestess, she is 5 when she's selected, and then 15 when the plot really takes off. She has tremendous power in terms of she is the high priestess of this community, of this society. But in fact, she is a prisoner of this system. And it's about, also the oppressive aspects of a religion, and whether or not this young woman, this girl, can find her own way. I really liked the second part much, much better than the first part, also because it was not such a road movie book, because in the first one, Gad, he is, he's on boats a lot and he travels a lot, and that just didn't work for me. I didn't find that interesting. And this is really focused on a very close community with her as the high priestess. So that was another book that I finished. And then the next one I want to talk about is a short little book I also read on script, so there will only be I have to look up when it was published. I'm sorry. There will only be a picture here, and that is Susan Glaspell, A Jury of Her Peers. That's a novella, about 40 pages. But as you know, my rule, if the book is published separately, I can count it. I don't count short stories, but if it is a book that is published as a novelette or as a novella, I can count it for the challenge. This author is also, and with this book, on my 1001 list. So again, 2 birds with 1 stone, which I find is a pretty brutal picture, to be honest, because does it mean I kill the birds with the stone, or I don't know. I'm not going to use this again. Anyway, so a double dip. Published, did I already say that? 1917. And it is a crime story. It opens with a couple of people going to a crime scene. You have a sheriff, you have the county attorney. It's in the countryside, and some time ago when we just had telephones, and the sheriff's wife and another woman. And while the 3 men kind of are feeling very important and trying to figure out whether the wife who has been arrested killed her husband, who has been strangled in bed. And she said there was obviously an intruder. She didn't wake up. She has a very sound sleep. So it's weird. And it's the jury of her peers are the 2 women who actually figure out what happens and decide what to do with that knowledge. And it's a small, tiny little gem of a book, I would say. The way it, in 1917, mind you, depicts the world, the different worlds between men and women, and also the disdain. The men, they make fun of the women, because they don't have an actual they don't have anything of importance to say. And the author makes it clear they are the only ones, the two women, who actually find out what happens, and the men are just, being self-important. So it's also satirical, it's funny, but it also shows something of the harsh life in the countryside life, especially for women. So I found that even though it's only 45 of something pages, it was a profound little book, and I really, really enjoyed reading it. And the last one I want to talk about in this video is also a tiny little gem, also on the 1001 list, and that is The Return of the Soldier by Rebecca West, which was published just a year after the Gospel in 1918. And it is exactly what it says: a soldier returning from the First World War. He's part of the nobility, and his wife, his young wife, and his cousin, with whom he grew up, they wait in this kind of castle to hear from him. And then it turns out he has been injured. They learn, and the injury is not so much physical, but he has what we probably would call now post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD, because he lost his memory of the last 15 years. So he can't remember his wife. They've been married for a decade. He doesn't know that he is not 20, but in his mid-30s. And then he comes home, and plot ensues from there, how the wife and the cousin and a former love interest that happened 15 years ago, so that is what he still remembers, how he deals with it, how the family deals with it, and the question, of course, whether or not he will return to the normal life that he had. I thought it was really brilliantly done in this very small setting and book. And I think Rebecca West was in her 20s when she wrote it. I was just amazed. So I definitely, enjoyed is maybe the wrong word, because it's a very, very sad story about war and loss, and it's not a happy book, but it was really, really good. So those are the books that I want to talk about for my August challenge. I'm on track. It's today the 13th, and I have read 12 books. I have 3 books on the go, which I won't, those are books that are not read in a day. And I will have a short book picked out for today that I will read later in the afternoon, evening. So far, fingers crossed, knock on wood, it's going well, but it's only the 13th, so it's not even half. Anyway, this was my recent reads on Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm very much looking forward to your comments, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.